Okay, our frame is obviously very thin, so we want to thicken it up and actually make what we call a space frame out of it, and that's by creating some triangulated elements. So let's jump back to our frame element itself, the unit, and start building a few extra details to it. And one of the things I'm going to do is start adding some reference points along here, and if you notice, I've selected a reference point. Let's call it a reference point. It really doesn't matter if it's a model point, it's just whether it'll show up or not. And if I roll along this line, you'll notice when it turns into a triangle, it's indicating that it's right in the center of that line. And so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to now connect these with a reference line. And if you're not getting snapping, it's maybe because you don't have 3D snapping turned on. And now I'm going to test to make sure that that in fact will behave adaptively. When I move it, that line I want to move with it. And it's doing that, so I'm good. I'll do Control Z to get back to the normal state here. And I'm going to put another reference or model point in the center of this one. And that's going to allow me to create this kind of triangular shape and have something to connect it to. So I'll make a few more reference lines. I'll go from, and I can go to wireframe here. That might help to see your lines that you want to select. And I'm going to click on specific points. You'll notice I'm going from that center out to that corner edge. And I have chain on, so I'm just going to turn this off because I'll be duplicating lines over the top of others. And I'm going to go to this one and then to this outside one. And now I want to do the exact same thing that we had done before. I'm going to drop some reference points on top of these lines. Two of them. We don't need them on both because I'll show you how we're going to extrude those over. And then I'm going to draw a circle on this again so we can extrude it out. So I'm going to grab, set the plane on the surface of this. And actually I'll hold down with the center mouse button and the shift key and roll this around a little bit so you can see how that angle is showing. And I'm going to grab the circle tool and in a second, let's see if I've selected the reference plane and the circle and till it snaps on it, and then I'll pull that off and I'll make that 2 inches just like I had done the top tubes. Not 2 feet, sorry. And now I'll select this reference plane. Let me back off a little bit so you can see that better. And this reference plane by holding down the Control key. Let me try again. I've got a model line, and it might be okay, but I'm not sure why I'm not seeing a reference line there. Rotate around. I'm going to make sure that is a reference line. There we go. I must have done it as a model line and not a reference line, so I'm going to click that on this little check mark here to make sure that it's taken as a reference line. It'll turn green. So once again, I'm going to rotate back a little so you can see what's happening here. I'm going to grab that reference line, hit Control, grab this reference line, and grab the circle, and say Create Form, and that'll make a solid form going across. And I'm going to do the same thing in the 2 other directions. I'm going to zoom in here and set the geometry for this plane, the circular point, do it again slowly, click that, and draw a circle off of that point. I'm a little obtuse here, so I'm going to rotate around a little bit. Until I'm on it, and then come off 2 inches, pull back, grab my 2 reference lines and my circle, and create a solid form. And the last one I want to do is this other transverse bottom support, and I'm going to set a point on it, set a working plane to construct on it, draw a circle on it. It's 2 inches in diameter, and then select this reference plane and hold down the controls so I can multi-select the circle, create a form. And before I do anything now, I'm going to make sure I haven't made any mistakes. I'm going to move some of these components around, and I want to make sure this all behaves adaptively, which means the lines are moving and I'm not getting the software giving me errors. And then I'll just put them back where I found them. And we'll load that back into the project. It's going to ask us if we want to overwrite it, and I'm going to say yes. It'll take a minute to regenerate it. And we now have another space frame, and I'll go to a 3D better view here. And you can see how we now have this full network of the frame that we've created. And it all behaves adaptively. If we change the surface of the roof form, the space frame will move accordingly with it. So we'll end this clip now, and we'll pick up in the next one.